You wake up at 7:14 a.m. Not because you wanted to. Because you had to. You check your phone before your eyes fully open. Bank notification. $23.47 left until Friday. You close the app. You already knew. You've been carrying that number in your chest since Tuesday. You get dressed. You go to work. You come home. You watch something. You sleep. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you tell yourself that you're just not there yet. That the right opportunity is coming. That this is temporary. But here's what nobody told you. It's not temporary because of bad luck. It's not temporary because the economy is hard. It's temporary because you are operating inside a system, and you don't even know the rules. Every single person, from the guy sleeping on a $200 air mattress in a studio apartment to the man sitting in a $40 million penthouse in Manhattan, they are all playing the same game. Just at different levels. With different rules. Different tools. Different realities. And the brutal truth? Most people never move up a single level. Not because they aren't smart. Not because they aren't working hard. But because they keep playing level 1 with level 1 thinking, forever. Let's start at 0. You have nothing. Or close to it. Your net worth is negative. Student loans. A car payment you stretched too thin. Maybe a credit card you swore you'd pay off 6 months ago. You're not broke because you're lazy. You might be working 2 jobs. You might be exhausted. But every dollar that comes in has somewhere to go before it even lands in your hand. At this level, money is emotional. Every purchase has a feeling attached to it. A small splurge on a Friday night feels like rebellion. Like proof that you're still living, not just surviving. You buy things not because you need them, but because the purchase gives you a moment of control in a life that feels completely out of your hands. This is the trap at 0. You spend to feel something. And the system, the actual financial system, was designed knowing you would do exactly that. Your bank charges you overdraft fees when you're already out of money. The payday loan place sits 2 blocks from your apartment. The convenience store on your corner charges 40% more than the grocery store across town, the one you can't get to because you don't have a car. The system extracts from you at every single point. Not maliciously. Mechanically. That's what systems do. They extract from the bottom and accumulate at the top. And you're at the bottom. For now. Then something shifts. Maybe it's a raise. Maybe you pick up a skill. Maybe you just get tired enough that tired starts to look like focus. Your net worth crosses 0. You have $1,000 in savings. It's not much. But it feels like a wall you built between yourself and disaster. You're at level 1 now. $0 to $10,000. At this level, you start to understand that money has a behavior. You notice that when you track your spending, something changes. Not just in your account, in your brain. The awareness itself shifts something. You start to see patterns. The $7 coffee every morning. The subscriptions you forgot you had. The money that was disappearing so quietly you thought it just evaporated. It didn't evaporate. It was flowing. Just not toward you. The first real lesson of the game: money moves. It always moves. Your only job at this level is to make it move toward you, even slightly, instead of away from you constantly. You start a small emergency fund. You pay off the credit card, not all at once, but intentionally. You stop buying things to feel something, and you start making choices that are slightly less emotional and slightly more structural. You're not wealthy. You're not even comfortable. But something in you has changed. You've started to see the system. Not understand it fully, just sense that it exists. Level 2. $10,000 to $100,000. This is the level where most people get comfortable and stop. You have a cushion now. You have a 401k that your company matches. You have a salary that covers your bills with a little left over. You feel stable. And stability, it turns out, is one of the most dangerous feelings in this game. Because at this level, the system offers you a very specific kind of comfort. A mortgage. A car lease. A lifestyle that expands to perfectly consume everything you earn. You get a raise and somehow, 6 months later, you're still at zero savings at the end of the month. You upgraded the apartment. You financed the car. You started going to nicer restaurants because now you can. This is called lifestyle inflation. And it is the machine's favorite trick at this level. The machine doesn't need you to be broke. It just needs you to be fully consumed. A person with $80,000 in income and $79,000 in annual spending is just as trapped as a person making $30,000. The cage just looks nicer. The people who break through this level are not the ones who earn more. They are the ones who create a gap between what comes in and what goes out. Even if that gap is small. Even if it's $200 a month. That gap is the beginning of leverage. And leverage is the language of every level above this one. Level 3. $100,000 to $500,000. You're not rich. But for the first time, money starts to do something you never experienced before. It starts to move on its own. You have investments now. Not just a 401k, actual positions. Index funds. Maybe some real estate. And one morning you wake up and check your account, and it went up $800 overnight. You didn't work for that $800. You didn't clock in. You didn't hustle. It just appeared. That moment changes something in your brain that cannot be undone. You start to understand the difference between active income and passive income at a cellular level. Before you understood it as a concept. Now you feel it. There is a version of money that sleeps when you sleep and works when you work and exists completely outside of your labor. And once you feel it, once you actually feel it, you cannot unfeel it. At this level, your identity starts to shift. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who works for money. You start thinking of yourself as someone who manages capital. Small capital, yes. But capital. The mindset is different. The decisions are different. You start asking different questions. Not, how do I afford this? But, what is the return on this? Not, can I pay for this? But, does this grow or drain? Here is something nobody says at this stage. And it matters more than almost anything else in this entire journey. The people around you, your friends, your coworkers, your family, they are still playing by the old rules. And they don't know it. They are not bad people. They are not wrong people. But their instincts, their advice, their opinions about money were formed at a different level. And those instincts will quietly pull you back if you let them. Not through arguments. Not through conflict. Through comfort. Through familiarity. Through the slow gravitational pull of people who love you but who have never stood where you are standing right now. You will start making decisions they don't understand. Skipping vacations to keep investing. Driving the same car for 3 more years. Saying no to things that seem completely reasonable to everyone around you. And they will look at you like you are being strange. Like you are being cheap. Like you are missing the point of all this money. They are not wrong from where they stand. But you are no longer standing where they stand. This is the loneliest part of the game. And almost no one talks about it. The financial distance between levels is real. But the social distance is what actually stops most people from crossing over. You don't lose your people. But you have to be willing to think differently than them. Quietly. Without needing them to understand. That is the real cost of Level 3. Level 4. $500,000 to $2 million. You are now in the top few percent of American net worth. But you don't feel like it. Because the people around you at this level are also here. And the people you see on screens and in magazines are somewhere else entirely. So it still feels like the middle. This is a psychological illusion that the system creates at every single level. There's always a ceiling visible above you and a floor you try not to look at below. At this level, the game changes in a way most people never get told about. Risk tolerance shifts. Not because you become reckless. But because you actually understand what risk is now. Risk, you realize, is not the opposite of safety. Risk, managed correctly, is the engine of growth. The people who stay at this level forever are the ones who got here being careful, and then stayed careful past the point where caution stopped being an asset and became a ceiling. Your network starts to matter in a completely different way. It's not about who you know socially. It's about access. There are deals at this level that never appear on public markets. Real estate opportunities. Private equity. Business partnerships. They circulate in a quiet, invisible current between people who are already here. You can feel its edges. You're starting to get invited into rooms where different conversations happen. Level 5. $2 million to $10 million. This is the level where something almost philosophically strange happens. Money stops being the goal. You have more than enough. Not, I could die tomorrow and be okay. Enough. Actually enough. The anxiety that lived in your chest for your entire adult life, that low-frequency hum of financial stress, it's gone. And when it leaves, you discover something that genuinely surprises you. You don't know what you actually want. For your entire life, the goal was more. More money, more security, more options. And now that you have them, the goal dissolves. Some people at this level start doing philanthropic work. Some become obsessed with building a business for the challenge of it, not the money. Some buy boats and slowly realize that a boat is just a moving maintenance problem. Some fall apart quietly. Because the thing they spent 30 years chasing is gone, and they never ask themselves what was underneath it. This is not a warning. It's just a fact about the game. At every level, there is a new version of yourself waiting. Some of those versions are better. Some are just different. Some are lost in ways you never anticipated. The system doesn't care about any of that. The system just keeps running. Level 6. $10 million to $100 million. You no longer have a financial life. You have a financial structure. There is an entity. Maybe an LLC, maybe a trust, maybe a holding company. Your money doesn't sit in a bank account. It lives inside structures that were architected by people who do this exclusively. Tax attorneys, wealth managers, estate planners, CPAs who specialize in high net worth individuals. You have a team. Not because you hired them to feel important. Because at this level, the complexity of protecting and growing capital requires specialization that no single human being can manage alone. You fly differently. Not because of ego. Because your time, at this level, has a quantifiable value that makes certain inefficiencies genuinely irrational. An hour of your attention, directed correctly, can move hundreds of thousands of dollars. Spending 4 hours in an airport to save $800 on a flight is not humility. It's a mathematical error. Everything becomes structural. The decisions you make are not about more money. They are about legacy. About what survives you. About what the entity looks like in 10 years, 20 years, in the hands of people who haven't been born yet. The game, at this level, is no longer about building. It's about architecture. Here is the thing nobody says out loud. The people at the top of this system, the ones operating at $50 million, $100 million, the people you will never personally meet, they are not smarter than you. They are not more disciplined. They are not better humans. What separates them is not intelligence. It is not even work ethic, though they worked hard. What separates them is that at some point, they stopped trading time for money. Completely. And they built or inherited or stumbled into systems that generate value independent of their presence. The machine runs without them. And here is the uncomfortable truth underneath that: most of those systems were built on top of other people's time. Other people who are still trading hours for dollars. Who are still at level 0 or level 1. Whose labor is the raw material inside somebody else's machine. The system doesn't judge. It doesn't have morality. It just moves. And it moves wealth upward, always, unless you deliberately build something that redirects it. Most people never change levels. Not because they can't. But because changing levels requires changing yourself in ways that are genuinely uncomfortable. The person who operates at level 0 cannot function at level 5 without a complete transformation in identity, behavior, belief structure, and risk tolerance. You have to become someone different. Not better. Not worse. Different. And that transformation is quiet and slow and mostly invisible. It doesn't announce itself. It just happens, or it doesn't. The people who move through every level have one thing in common. They were willing to let go of the version of themselves that belonged to the previous level. Every time. Without exception. That sounds like a motivational line. It isn't. It's clinical. It's mechanical. The old version of you was built for old conditions. When the conditions change, the version has to change too, or it becomes a liability. You are somewhere in this system right now. Maybe you're still at the beginning. Maybe you're further along than you think. Maybe you've been at the same level for 5 years and told yourself it was stability when it was actually stagnation. The system doesn't know your name. It doesn't know your story. It doesn't know how hard you've worked or how much you've sacrificed or how many times you almost gave up. It just runs. It has been running since before you were born and it will keep running long after you're gone. The only question that actually matters is whether you understand it well enough to use it. Somewhere right now, in a studio apartment in Chicago or Dallas or Phoenix, someone is lying awake at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling. $23 in their account. 2 jobs. Exhausted. And they have no idea that they are at the beginning of a system that they haven't seen yet. They think this is just their life. They don't know it's level 1. The machine keeps running.